Welcome, John Shaw. He's going to be talking about Wispact and financial readiness with self-advocacy focused. Take it away, John.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's see. So first of all, I wanted to say that, being individuals with disabilities, many of you folks are on SSI or some other government program. And it's really important that you become, and I'm just sort of fixing my screen here. It's really important that you have an understanding of different things that you can do for preparing for your future, okay? And one of the things that you can do is to look at starting a special needs trust and using that in a way that can help you in self-directing your life in the future, okay? Now, many of you know me from when I worked at Wispact or when I worked at the Board for People with Developmental Disabilities. Right now, I work for an organization called Wispact. And Wispact is what's called a pooled trust organization. And this is an organization that pools together individuals' money into what's called a supplemental needs trust, which you can use, and it does not count as an asset. In other words, you know how you can't have a savings account with over $2,000 in it, or you would lose your SSI eligibility. Well, you can put money into a trust, and that will not count as an asset, and you can use that money, okay? So first of all, I just want to start off with Wispact's mission. And our mission is that we want to improve the lives of people of all ages with disabilities across Wisconsin through the management of their special needs trusts, and to provide more choice, more opportunities, and a better quality of life. So does that sound to you like that is self-determination?
Yes.
Okay, Ramsey. Yes, exactly. Yes, we want to make sure that that people have access to their resources, and that they're not using their resources in ways that could jeopardize their ability to receive public benefits. Okay. So what is a special needs trust? We're going to start off there. Well, a special needs trust is something that is set up by you with your money, or by somebody for you with their money. And the money goes into this trust, and then the trustee is the person who protects the money and helps distribute the money when you request different distributions, okay? So why are these special needs trusts important? Well, first of all, as I said earlier, it's exempt from SSI and from Medicaid. So you can remain eligible for your SSI and your Medicaid by having the money in the trust and not have to worry about having too much money in like a savings account. Remember what I told you about the $2,000 limit that you have currently. Boy, if you have more than $2,000 in a savings account, you're probably going to lose your SSI and your Medicaid, and you don't want to do that. But at the same time, you don't want to just go out and spend money as you make it and not have money for the future. Well, a special needs trust is a way that you can make sure that you can keep that money and save that money for the future, or you can use it right now as well. One of the other programs that you can use is what's called an ABLE account. The thing that's nice about a supplemental needs trust is that you have people here that are working to try and make sure that they're using the money in a way that does not affect your public benefits, okay? So as I said, a supplemental needs trust helps you to maintain your eligibility. There is one other supplemental needs trust in the state of Wisconsin, pooled trust, and that is by Life Navigators in Milwaukee. And if you're going to be setting up something like this, it's important to check out both Life Navigators and Wispact to make sure that you are choosing the one that would be the best choice for you. So who's eligible for a trust? Well, under Wispact standards, we require that every trust application is submitted through the assistance of a Wisconsin licensed attorney. And most elder law and special needs planning attorneys are familiar with Wispact. Now, the thing about Wispact that we do is that if you want to set up a trust, and I know that this sounds like a lot of money, but if you are putting in under $80,000 in your trust, Wispact will pay for the attorney costs. And that's pretty significant. Okay, so the other thing that you need is that you have to have a disability in order to be eligible for a Wispact trust. We are set up for individuals with disabilities. Okay. And we do work with individuals who are over the age of 65 and have a disability, but you know, we really want to focus on making sure that young folks with disabilities, there's something set up for them. And a lot of times your parents, you know, they may think about the time when they may not be around and how are they going to be able to pass on money to you? They are able to do that by setting up a trust so that you can have that money available to you if they should pass away, okay? Why would you need a trust? Well, like I said, main thing is if you have too much money and you in your savings account, you'd want to put it in a situation that does not count as a resource to you. Now, what Wispact will do is if you have needs, if you have that you would like to use your trust to purchase, Wispact will help you with that. Okay. We really want to make sure that we are doing what you would like us to do and spending the money in a way that you would like us to spend it. But one of the things that we also want to do is we want to make sure that people are not taking advantage of you. And let me give you an example. Somebody wanted to use their Wispact trust to purchase a car. And this was about a month ago. And you know, that's fine. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that the car is a good car and it's going to be lasting. And it's not something that is going to, you know, fall apart or isn't worth the money that you pay for it. And so the beneficiary specialist who will work with you, what they'll do is they'll take a look at the car, they'll find out what the value of the car is. And if the value of the car is more than what you're going to pay for it, then Wispact would approve the car purchase. However, sometimes you've got unscrupulous car people that want to charge you maybe a couple $1,000s more than the car is worth. But you know, you really like the car. Well, Wispact will not allow you to use the money to purchase a car that's not worth the money you're paying for it. And that, you know, those are the kind of things that we look out for. We're really trying to make sure that we look out for you and for your best interests. At the same time, we want you to be able to use the money in a way that you see fit, okay? Because you are on SSI, there are some things that you cannot spend your Wispact trust on. And that would be food. And also that would be for your housing, because that is what SSI is designed for. And if you use your Wispact trust to pay for those kind of things, then you may lose some of your SSI. And again, that is what the beneficiary specialists are there for. They want to make sure that you're not going to be using your money in your trust and losing some of the benefits that you currently have. And that's really important. Because a lot of times people don't know what they can and can't spend money on, and potentially losing their SSI. Well, our concern is to make sure that you don't lose your public benefits.
It looks like Ramsey's raising his hand.
Oh yeah, Ramsey.
Hey, thanks for coming, John. Welcome. Good information. The reason I don't have a Wispact trust currently is because I didn't understand what it was about. I had a lot of questions about it. So I was wondering, in the Wispact materials, is there any way we can make it more people first language, so you don't have to have a law degree?
Yeah. And Ramsey, I think that that's a really good question. And that's one of the reasons why I'm talking with you today. Okay. We do have a lot of documents that we have to have that are legal documents. And unfortunately, we have to have those. But I think by sitting here and explaining this to you, you have an understanding of exactly what it is that we do. Okay. And so,
yeah, because between you and me, that's why I don't have one currently, because I didn't understand all that paperwork. And yes, I have a master's degree, but no, I don't have a law degree.
mhm.
And some of those papers are so complicated to understand. I don't want to be offensive to you. I just think that there's a way to make it more.
Well, and Ramsey, that's one of the reasons that we have beneficiary specialists, so that they can help to explain this stuff to you. The beneficiary specialists that we have are not lawyers, okay? But again, because of the need, these are legal things. And so unfortunately, they have to be written in a legal form. And that's why the different forms that the attorney is presenting to you, they're in legalese. But you certainly can call anytime, and we can certainly explain to you exactly what this is and exactly how this works and everything, okay?
Yeah, you guys do a great job. Please understand, I'm not knocking you.
Oh yeah, I understand. I totally understand, Ramsey. Yeah.
You guys are a great organization, but the only reason I don't have one is because I didn't understand it. It, it was way too complicated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and as I said, Ramsey, if you would want to go ahead and set something up, I know you certainly can talk with George Zasky up there in River Falls, and I know that he would be able to assist you. And then, you know, once you set something up, then you certainly can talk with the beneficiary specialist here in Madison, and they can help to explain exactly what the process is. Okay.
Yeah, because I know this isn't my meeting, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands what's going on because I I had a hard time understanding it myself. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, Ramsey, I'm going to go on and we're going to talk a little bit about how people get their money out from their trust at Wispact. Okay, there are a couple of things that you need to understand, and that is that, first of all, and this is for your protection as well, money that you use from the trust account can only be used for you. It can't be used for anybody else, okay? And the reason for this is because first of all, we want to make sure that you're protected. You know, there are people out there that will say, oh, gee, Sydney, could you give me $100? I really could use it. And, you know, and then if you call Wispact and say, well, I have this friend that needs $100, or I'd like to buy my friend a gift. Well, that's not what the Wispact money is designed for. It's designed for you and for your use only, okay? But if you use the money from Wispact to pay bills or to pay other kinds of things, you certainly can use your own money to give your friend $100 if you want. But again, the idea is that we're trying to make sure that we are protecting you and that people are not taking advantage of you. And that's what's called the sole benefit rule. The money can only be used for your purposes. The other thing is that you cannot get money from Wispact, because if we gave you money, that would have an effect on your SSI. But we can pay bills for you, okay? So you can have your cell phone bill, your car insurance, your cable bill, any kind of bill like that. And the other thing that you do is you can, if you decide that you want to get a credit card, we can pay your credit card bills as long as you send the receipts in along with the credit card statement every month. And we can make sure that you have not used your credit card to pay for things that you can't pay for, you know, like food or other kinds of things. Again, the idea is that we want to make sure that we're protecting you so that you can maintain your eligibility for SSI, okay? The other thing that we do offer at Wispact is that we offer what's called a TrueLink credit card, where we can load the credit card with money and you can use that credit card, but then you have to send the receipts in to show what you spent the money for. And that's another way that you can use your trust to get different kinds of things that you need. And you then don't need to get a credit card, okay? So what are some of the different kind of things that you can use a trust for? Like, well, you can use it for dental expenses that aren't covered by Medicaid or Medicare. And I'm sure a lot of you know, if you have gone to the dentist and you're over the age of 18, there are a lot of dentists that don't take Medicaid, right? And
Yeah.
so you certainly can use your trust for that. You can use it for health and beauty expenses, you know, if you need to get hair care products or other things. You can use it for travel. You can use it for entertainment, like books, movies, cable TV, all those different kind of things. And if you need to have a private caregiver that is not covered by your long-term care, like services, you can certainly use it for that.
Can you please
But again, as I said, the one thing that we cannot do is we cannot give you cash. And that's okay, because we're going to make sure that we're using the money to pay for things that you need to have paid, which will free up the money that you have either from your job or from your SSI, so that you can pay some of those other things. Okay. One of the things that you can do is, if you have a trusted person, a parent or somebody else that you trust, they can become what's called a reimbursement agent. And what they can do is they can also spend money on your behalf and send the receipts in and get reimbursed from your trust. So those are different ways that you can use your trust to get the different kind of things. Okay. So now what happens, so you say, okay, well, I have all this money in a trust. What happens when I pass away? Well, there are a couple of things. First of all, if you have what's called a first party trust, and that is a trust that you put money into, then the state of Wisconsin, the state recovery program, would take a look at how much money you have. And if you spent more Medicaid money than you had in your trust, then they would make what's called a claim for that money. Now, if there is more money that you owe than what you have, and this is where it gets a little bit complicated, then the money goes back to Wispact for what is called our retained fund program. And that is what I do. I am the retained fund coordinator. And now the beauty of the retained fund is that if you have money that goes into a trust and you spend it all, well, guess what? You can request grants for up to $5,000 a year that we can provide payment for you so that you can have different things. So if your trust runs out, you can still get services from Wispact. You can still get a lot of things from Wispact that you were getting when you had money in your trust. And that's really pretty cool because, you know, and as I was talking about dental care, with the retained fund, I've bought a lot of people teeth in the last year. You know, so I know that sounds a little bit weird, but boy, you know, it costs, I've learned that it costs about $3,000 to get 4 or 5 teeth replaced. And a lot of people have needed that and they had no money. They couldn't get it done. But with the retained fund, we were able to do that. We were able to assist them and pay for that dental care that they needed. You know, we were able to pay for people to take trips. We were able to pay for people to buy a bed, to buy a new TV, lots of different kind of things. So again, I'm not trying to just sell Wispact, but because there are different supplemental needs trust programs out there. But that is one of the advantages that we certainly do have here, okay? And we just want to make sure that people remember that first thing that we were talking about. We want to make sure that individuals with disabilities live better lives in the community, and that's a way that we can do that. Okay. So let's see. Now, many of you have probably heard of ABLE accounts. Is that right? Remember that you can set up a self-administered ABLE account, and that will allow you to put money away so that sort of like a retirement account that people with like myself, you know, I've been putting money in away in a retirement account. Hopefully in a couple of years, I'll be able to use that and spend that money in my retirement account. Well, that is a way that you can put money away as well, and that's not considered income as well. Okay. So anyway, the disadvantage, of course, of an ABLE account is that you have to be determined to have a disability prior to the age of 26. Generally, people with disabilities are given that situation. So, you certainly can take a look at that. It may be to your advantage to look at having both an ABLE account and a trust account so that you can take advantage of both of those different situations, okay? But, again, if you want to be more self-determined and make decisions about your funding, those two different accounts are probably the way to go. So let's see. So a couple of things just so that you're aware of in regards to Wispact, and that is that Wispact is now one of the largest pooled trust organizations in the country. And I know this sounds like a lot of money, but we have over $150 million in assets that we currently are looking at managing, and we have over 4,000 individuals that we have who have trusts with us. We are a national leader, and we offer a lot of different kinds of benefits. And those of you that know me know that one of my biggest concerns over the years in the disability field has been we have what are called tweeners, okay? And let me give you an example. Sydney, are you on any kind of program right now?
No, I'm no longer on SSI, but I have a ABLE account.
Are you on Iris or Family Care?
No,
Have you ever been eligible for Iris or Family Care?
I don't think so.
Okay, and so we have what are called tweeners, and that is somebody like, for instance, you, or some other folks that you may know from People First, like Robert Kaur, okay? What we are able to offer is we will hire service coordinators that will help you, assist you in finding jobs and finding services and finding housing, whatever you need to have. So we offer that to those individuals who have a disability but aren't eligible for like Iris or Family Care or some other kinds of programs. So that's really pretty cool. I mean, we have that way we make sure that people don't get lost, in the cracks and things like that. That's one of the kinds of different things that we certainly offer. Okay, and of course we also offer the setup a grant so that you can go to an attorney and have them set up a trust for you. Now, just so that you're aware, the qualifications for a trust are that you need to have at least $1,000 that you put into the trust. That's it. Okay. If you put $1,000 into the trust and you spend it down, you're eligible for grants. So that's a good thing. But what it also does is, like, if you get to the point where you have too much money on in a savings account, if you get to that $2,000, you can set up a trust and you can put the money in the trust, and then you can make sure that you're going to continue your eligibility for SSI. Okay. So I think that this is a really good alternative for you folks and your friends to take a look at. And of course, if you have questions about it, you can certainly give me a call. I'm happy to take anybody's phone call. I'm on the phone half the day anyway, so what the heck, right? It'd be sort of fun to talk to you guys. So I guess right now, are there any questions? Does anybody have any questions about this?
I'm guessing Ramsey has some questions for you, but he's not on anymore, so
Okay,
I'm sure I'll have to get him your contact information.
okay, we have a question. What does SSI stand for? SSI stands for Supplemental Security Income, okay? And that is different than Social Security. Social Security is a benefit that as you're working through your lifetime, you are paying into the Social Security Administration. And a lot of people don't understand Social Security either. I like to think of it as an insurance policy. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you are a parent who has a child with a disability, or if you're a parent who has a child under the age of 18 and you pass away, well, guess what? That child gets to collect off of the benefit that you paid into the Social Security Administration. If you have a disability that occurs after you've been working for years, guess what? You can collect a disability benefit from the Social Security that you paid. And more commonly, it is used as a retirement benefit when you get 65 or 66 years old and are ready to retire, okay? So, are there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Hey, John, nice to see you.
Yeah.
Been a while. Is there, you might have said this and I just missed it. Is there a certain age that a person has to be eligible to establish it?
A Wispact, a sub-account? No, not at all.
All right.
We have children as young as 3, 4, 5 years old that have set up accounts. And as a parent, Nancy, to be quite honest, it's a good idea to think about that right now. Something up for your child, because you never know what might happen. And if something just suddenly happens, you know, what's going to happen to your estate, right? Is it going to go to your child? And is your child then going to become ineligible for services because they have too much money in an asset? Well, if you have your estate set up, what you can do is you can set up a trust and you can have the money go into the trust instead of going to them directly, okay? And
As far, sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
No, as far as like, I know that, yeah, the person has to have a disability, and I know you mentioned that a lot of folks are on SSI who use it, but some may not be. So how do they show that they have a disability that they would qualify? Do they need like a disability determination from Social Security or a diagnosis from a doctor?
A disability determination would be the cleanest, easiest way to do that. If you have a disability from through the county because you're on Medicaid, that's a way of doing that. But you know, you just need to show that there is a diagnosable disability. And some people, it means that they have medical information that they're able to give to show that there is a disability, okay? Some people do not have much of a disability, but as long as they can show that they do have a disability, they would be eligible for a setting up a trust.
So for instance, if somebody was found to have a disability through a disability determination, but then later the Social Security said, you know, no, you're no longer qualified. So that as long as they've got that diagnosis, it's not like their Wispact would have to go away.
Exactly. Once you're a client of Wispact, you're always a client of Wispact. Okay.
That's good to know.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I do have several individuals that we are actually paying for their college tuition right now. They graduated from high school, they went on to college, they were not no longer deemed having a disability after they turned 18, but they already had the trust set up. They had been given a disability status, and so they remain clients of Wispacts.
Good to know. Thank you.
Okay. The other thing, Nancy, is just so that you're aware, when you set up a trust, what will happen is that you will have the ability to say you have another child with a disability. What you can do is you can put in the trust that if my first child with a disability passes away, their Wispact trust account will pass to my other child before it would go to estate recovery.
Oh, that's really nice. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And the idea is that, they both have disability. And this happens a lot of times with like elder folks who are married and one of the individuals passes away before the other. They have it written in their successor would be the other individual. They would take over the remainder of the trust. And then when that individual would pass away, then estate recovery would come in. Okay.
Okay.
But I will tell you that a majority of the time, the amount of money that you've received in Medicaid is so much that the money goes into our charitable fund, our retained fund. And so we're able to use that to help other individuals who may have run out of money in their trust account. Okay.
So they own the estate recovery. I say it one more time, please. On
Okay.
when the estate
So-
recovery takes back the money that was spent for.
Okay, we have an agreement with the state recovery. I believe it's in state law. I'm not sure if that's the way it's listed, but so if you owe $1 million to a state recovery, if they say you've used $1 million, what they will do is they will send us back a letter and saying, well, you only have $100,000 left in your Wispact trust. You don't have enough money to pay back what you owe the state. So you can retain that money and use it for your charitable foundation.
So they don't just take the portion that you do have available, they leave it
No.
alone. So, but then
And
okay.
Then it goes
Wow.
back to the retained fund, and we are able to use that on other individuals.
That's
So,
wonderful.
yeah, and one of the things I try and tell people, and I try and emphasize this to the people that I work with as well, is that you may think, oh man, the state isn't getting that money that they're really owed. But one of the things that we have paid for in the past, for instance, is we paid for extra care for individuals living at home so they don't end up in nursing homes. Okay, so think about that. If we're paying $200 a month for an individual so that they have a caregiver coming in so that they don't end up in a nursing home, think of how much money we're actually saving the state of Wisconsin. And
Quite a bit.
we look at that's how we use the retained fund. It's to make sure that individuals can remain independent and that they can remain in a situation where they're living a good life. Okay. We have paid for people's property taxes in the past. Can you imagine that? If you're an elderly person, you own a piece of property and you can't afford to pay the property taxes, but by paying the property taxes, you're able to remain in your home and not end up in a nursing home. Well, typically nursing homes cost $3,500, $4,000 a month. You multiply that times 12, you're $48,000 right there for the state of Wisconsin, but we're paying $4,000 in property taxes with a grant so that they can stay in your home. We're really saving the state a lot of money by doing that. And so that's what the retained fund is designed for.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
It does to me. Does anybody else have questions about that part of it?
No,
really.
a wonderful program that helps people stay in their setting, and the idea of a charitable fund or a retained fund that goes to somebody else who needs it or can use it, good idea. Otherwise, who benefits by people going to nursing homes? The big corporate people do. And then at the end, the state scoops up whatever you owe them. I'm glad to see it go to somebody else's need rather than go back to the state of Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And my job is to make sure that we're using the money in an appropriate manner. And so there are some things that we saw, obviously we can't and won't pay for with a retained fund. And, it's, you can't use it for alcohol. You can't use it, you know, to watch, you know, dirty movies or things like that. You can't use it for drugs. We do not allow people to use it to purchase cars because that's just too big of an asset, and it would create liability for Wispact if you would get in an accident. But if you have a car, we can pay for the repairs of your cars with a grant. You know, we can. I have helped people purchase different scooters, bikes. You know, if you own your home and you need to have like a ramp put in because you now are in a wheelchair, we can pay for a ramp to go to your home so that you can continue to live there. There are lots of really cool things that we can take a look at paying for. And what I try and do with individuals is I will ask them, okay, let's take a look at the big picture. What is it that you really need to have, okay? And if we can't, for instance, pay for one thing with a grant, what I'll do is I'll say, well, what about this? Well, what about your cable TV bill? Maybe we can pay your cable TV bill and that'll give you an extra $100 a month that you can use to purchase something else. So I really try and make sure that we work with people so that they can get the things that they need to get. And if it's things that we can't pay for because of restrictions on your SSI, well, we'll figure out something that we can pay for to make sure that you can continue to get the services that you need. Okay?